Hey guys, it's me again. I'm coming on today to talk about how our higher self, ascension, and chakras are all intertwined. If you're asking me right now, what's an ascension? Ascension, for those that have come on, and what I mean by come on is that if you're a soul that feels like it's elevating, you don't know why things are perturbing you, you don't know why the world seems like it's not making sense anymore, most likely you're ascending. Some of us have been on this ascension journey for some time, including myself, and others of you are just kicking on and you're wondering, what is happening to you? Why does the world not make as much sense? Why do you not want to participate in the world the way it's been structured for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or 18 years, whatever amount of time you've been on this planet? But I'm here to talk to you guys about something that's very interesting and intricate to the ascension journey that you have to kind of clue into what's happening. So for myself, what took place a couple years for me was that I was ending out what we would call a cycle. Now, what a cycle can be is it can be what I say, a karma cycle, right? Karma, sometimes people think of it in a bad way, but sometimes karma is just something you need to learn. When we're saying to people like, oh, their karma will get them, what you're really asking the universe to do is to teach them a lesson, right? So none of us really are out of karma because we need to learn certain lessons in order to participate in a new cycle, which is our dharmic cycle, okay? How can you ever get to this section of, the good side of karma unless you go through the lesson, which is karma? So for myself, I went through this cycle ending about a couple years ago, and I started getting to this soul evolution or this ascension period. What took place for me first was that my root chakra came on. How this was transposed in my day-to-day was the root has to do with family and friends, right? It has to do with your base, what you consider to be true to you. And a lot of you, I will say, either it's happening for you now, it happened to you last year or the year before. It's like around the time of COVID, and as the ending of COVID took place, you notice that these family members and these friends, a lot of them were being X'd out of your life. Either you were pushing them out of your life or the universe was pushing them out of your life. And why? Because the soul was trying to make sure your root was strong. Now you only have those that participate in your life that are good for you, that are working with you. They're what they would call your soul tribe, your soul family. So a lot of these people that were no longer good for you started to just exit your life. And that's part of the process. If you were going through this, and when I went through it, it was hella hard. It really hurts. But now on the other side, on the flip side, on the dharmic side of my cycle, right? Because this is part of the karmic side of our cycle. It's a lesson we need to learn. On the dharmic side, all the family and friends I currently still have in my circle right now, and you have to imagine, I had like 1,300 friends on Facebook. I had a bunch of friends on Instagram, whatever the case may be. And now I've been down from 1,300 to 400 to 500. Huge excommunication of a lot of persons. And right now, what I like to call it, it's trimming the fat. This is the trimming the fat period of our existence as we ascend. Next, what you may notice is that you go into the sacral, okay? The sacral chakra. Now, I said this before, has to do with creativity. For myself, because I was also exiting relationships here, and that meant like a huge relationship for me, I noticed that as my root got stronger, I had to stabilize certain things for myself, things that didn't work in the last karmic cycle. I didn't want to go through the same processes that I had been going. Sometimes karmic cycles can be 7 years, sometimes it can be 21 years, sometimes it can be 14. So what you have to understand is that these cycles are quite long. And if you didn't learn the lesson, like for me, I was exiting a very horrible narcissistic relationship. I had to move on. I had to lose the friends, the family, the partner. And what I realized this time around, when I moved into, let's say, the dating side of things, once I started healing and getting over all of this, I had a choice. It was either I could rush back into the dating scene, and I'm just talking about myself so I can show you guys how do you transplant this into your life, into your ascension journey, okay? So I had to decide if I was going to make the same mistakes in my previous karmic cycle. Was I going to go jump into another relationship, or was I going to hone this sacral energy to myself? And how did I do this? I didn't date as much, and I stopped sleeping with people. And I know this is going to sound messed up. Most people would be like, oh, aren't you lonely? You know what? At the beginning I was, but all I kept doing was remembering the karma. Did I want to do this again? Did I want to participate in another relationship when I was not truly healed? And the answer became no. So I wanted to move into my dharmic cycle. And how did I do this? I honed into my sacral gift, which was my creative juices, which led me to making videos such as these, which led me, because I hadn't hit my stride yet. When I was at this point, this was maybe back in 2022, 2023, I wasn't in my stride. I was just learning how to hone all of my power, my sexual power, my creative power to myself. In the past, previous, when I was in my karmic cycle, I was giving all of that away. Now, this is going to mean something different for all of you. But as you ascend in your journey, this is the journey through the actual chakras. That's what people don't realize, but that's what's taking place. So the sacral chakra, I stopped going out willy-nilly, going to bars, trying to meet people, going online, trying to meet people. And I said, you know what? Let's fix this energy. Let's take back my energy, my sacred sexual energy, my sacred creative energy, and hone it into myself. And you know what happened? I started making videos. I started finding my way and expressing myself in different ways than through a sexual nature. I didn't need the relationship anymore. I had moved out of this idea that everything was going to be found in a partner, and I poured it back into myself. So this might be something that you're going through. You might be deciding not to participate out there in the dating world simply because, for me, I'm 40 years old, and this was the first time that I went through many of these 7-year cycles, 21-year cycles, before I realized, hey, I don't need to give this away again. I can actually work with myself and figure out this for myself. The next was the solar plexus, because once my sacral opened up, once I stopped giving it away, started honing it into myself, I noticed that my sacral plexus, which has to do with will, right? The will to be, the will to exist, started opening up. I was willing my energy to work for me versus against me, because again, I didn't want to go back into this karmic cycle. So what did that mean? Taking chances on myself. What did that mean for me at that time? Giving up on my career. I was a law clerk for about 8 years, and I decided around the time, this would have been 2023 as well, I decided to have the will to take chances on myself, to basically go after what means a lot to myself. Because I was starting to develop my gift at this point. My gift was starting to tap in. And this will happen for you guys too, because as you move through the chakras, certain energy centers open up, you gain more gifts. It's not going to come wrapped in a pretty bow. What it's going to be revealed through your ascension journey through the chakras. And what I was realizing was my gift of will was to get through my relationship and my losing of family and friends. People started coming around me asking, Ashley, how did you get out of this narcissistic relationship without falling apart, right? So I got through this, and they said, oh, it was because I honed into my sacral energy. I wasn't giving it away. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. It was a process. It was a laddered process, and we're in 2025. This took years to achieve. So once I realized that my gifts were coming in, meaning like I took back my power here, I took back my power with my root, I started finding that my will was getting stronger and stronger. Then what happened is I started to open up my heart. My heart started opening to new family, to new friends, okay? And once I started trusting again, this has to do with trust, okay? Trust in yourself, right? I took all these leaps of faith with my will to get rid of my old career, to start moving in a different direction, to start abiding by my spiritual gifts and my spiritual flow. When I started realizing that God and Spirit was trying to push me into a different direction. Once I started relieving and releasing myself, moving from karma, going into dharma, I started finding more friends, more family, and trusting in these people. Trust I never had before. Okay, trust I didn't have before with the previous 100 or 1,500 people. Now that I minimized it to 400, I realized who was really for me. I started gaining more family and friends in this stage of the heart. I started trusting in the world around me. I started trusting in what my passions were. I started believing in myself with my will, and I moved into the heart chakra. I wasn't going to close it down. I wasn't going to let this old relationship, what old friends did to me with the scapegoating, etc., hold me back. I was going to move into the heart, and I was going to open it back up to new possibilities, to trusting the universe again, and to believing in myself. So these all tie in, all these energy centers, as they open up, they change. Next was my throat. What happened with my throat? I began to be able to sing, to speak. For those of you that don't believe me, I am able to sing. I was never able to sing my entire life. If you were somebody that doesn't believe me, I really don't care. But at 37, I was 37, and my singing voice all of a sudden came alive. My speaking voice in terms of speech, speaking my truth, came alive. And why did it happen? Because I went through all these processes of the chakra system. And then next was my I. So with the throat, what comes is truth. You speaking your truth. And also at the same time, when this happened, my other gift came on, which was my higher self abilities. Because when your throat comes on and you speak your truth, you'll notice it's more guttural. I know that sounds interesting, but it actually ties back into, and this is all going to look a mess by the end, but it also had to do with my solar plexus, the will. So these two started tying into each other. I started being able to sing, to speak freely, to speak my truth of who I am, who I've always been, who I tried to hide with masks. All the masks started coming off. And I noticed that I could sing, I could speak. And then slowly I realized that my heightened senses for my higher self were starting to come in. But truly, my higher self discernment did not come in, because this has to do with discerning, okay? I started learning how to discern. I started learning what was true. I started learning who is real and who's not real. I started learning the differences between, like I said with my previous videos, when it comes to the intuition we receive. What's the left? What's the right? That came with my eye. So I started howling, and I would say this started happening for me around 2023, moving into 2024. I had to do a lot of practices. The universe started giving me false persons, false prophets, false people to kind of false spiritual masters that were coming my way, situations and scenarios that were testing me and training me to help me understand what was real, what was true to me. And when the eye came on, eventually I started moving into the crown. Now the crown is about recognizing that you are a sovereign being, a sovereign spiritual being. You were not put on this earth to be a slave to corporations. You were not put on this earth. You were put on this earth to be all that you are. And when you can accept that, when you can realize that you were not here for Molly, Sally, Steve, and Bob, in your life, you were here for, in my case, Ashley Boyle. Ashley Boyle has a reason. Ashley Boyle is here to shine. Ashley Boyle is to bring forth the gifts of singing, of speech, of higher self channeling, everything that I tried to suppress for all my life. You have to understand that the only friends that I had left, right, after all those hundreds dropped off, I had two major old friends of mine that knew me my entire life. They asked me simple questions like, why was I hiding this all this time? Why did I lie to myself? And most of us don't really want to answer that question. But the truth is, we lie every day to ourselves. Every time we go into the 9 to 5, every time we, bite our tongue about things that make us angry and upset, and we don't voice our opinion because of what others think. That has to do with the crown. The crown is when you finally walk and step into your own righteousness of what path you want to follow. And I would say that this started opening up for me in 2024, moving now into 2025. I'm getting clearer and clearer as to what, and I am still working on this journey. I'm just getting to this point. But I also feel like once I got to this level with the throat, I wanted to share what I knew with all of you, because how was I ever going to be who I truly am if I wasn't starting to share all of my wisdom, all the things I've known for the over 13 to 20 some years in this last, karmic and dharmic cycle that I am now moving into the dharmic side of things. But I have a lot of karmic understanding. I have a lot of karmic wisdom that I can share with all of you. And it is all a process. This ascension process is you going through all these chakras, them alivening, them giving you your spiritual gifts. What is a spiritual gift? I will tell you. It is you coming into utero with a genetic coding that was predispositioned by your soul. Your soul can aliven different gifts within you. Okay. And as you go through, the universe is, let's say, your playhouse, your playground, your, let's say, stage, in a sense. The universe is going to reflect on this stage all the things that you spiritually need to learn. So sometimes when you're like, why is this stuff happening to me? And again, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. And you start to climb up this ladder, and then you get to the crown. There are so many other nodes of chakras, but I'm not going to go into all of that. If you have any questions, please just DM me. If you want to know about any of these, I make these shorter just to get a brief understanding of what's going on. But if you feel like you're ascending, you're probably going through one of these chakra systems as we speak. And you might need some help and you might need some guidance. Please DM me. That's what I'm here for. If you do want a higher self channeling, that's what I do. I connect people with their higher selves, their higher intuition, so that they can start to trust who they are and what they are, so we can all rise to the crown situation that we were all bred and born to be. So if you have any questions, find me out. Have a good one, guys. Love you lots. Bye for now.